Good evening. This is the Tuesday, August 11th, 2026 regular meeting of the Flemington Borough Planning Board. I left a piece of paper. Hold on. I'm gonna read the OPMA statement that I have here. Sorry. Got to grab it. This in-person and virtual meeting is called pursuant to the updated provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Both adequate and electronic notice of this in-person and virtual meeting has been provided by way of publication in the Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News newspapers beginning in January 2026. In addition, notice of the meeting was posted on the door of the Borough of Flemington Municipal Building located at 38 Park Avenue, and any handicap accessible entrances there too. Posted on the municipal website as per the new OPMA requirements. Provided to the municipal clerk and distributed to all persons of any requesting copies of same. This meeting is being recorded with both audio and video and may be rebroadcast. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and to form appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. I'll ask everyone please rise as you're able for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll, please.
Mayor Carroll.
Yeah, not here.
Mr. Campion.
Here.
Mr. Doshman.
Here.
Mr. Schlanger.
Here.
Mr. Schob.
Here.
Ms. Swingle.
Here.
Ms. Weitzman.
Here.
Mr. Hain.
Here.
Mr. Eckel.
Here.
Mr. Peters.
Here.
Attorney Wilhelm. Attorney Kuzinski.
Here.
Engineer Clerico.
Here.
Leonard Kyle.
Here.
Engineer Troutman.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think did we miss Susan? I don't know if she's there, but.
Right. Excused. And Ms. Giffen is excused.
Okay.
Right. Item one, as we have on every meeting, is a period for public comments for items not currently before the board. If anyone would like to make a comment, please raise your hand either online or in person. Seeing none, item two, mayor comments.
Just two things. The municipal planner that begins is now working with the county regarding that easement along the rail line, and other passive walks around the town for the connectivity. And the two redevelopment committees have their next meeting next week. Actually, one is next week and one is the week after that. And we'll be taking a look at redevelopment plan itself to make sure that they'll look at some tweaks that plan begins is recommending. So that's it.
Good. Thank you, Mayor. Our council person is not here. HBC Dennis.
I have nothing. We haven't had a meeting since our last meeting.
Right. Environmental Commission, Melissa.
We have not had a meeting since our last meeting as well.
All right. Under professional reports, let's start with Kara on the escrow requirements.
Yep, so I made some additional revisions to the ordinance. I believe Caitlin circulated it earlier today. I don't know, Mr. Chair, if you want to put that on the next agenda and have everybody take a look at it, and then we can discuss comments then. If you'd like to do it tonight, whatever your pleasure.
I would like people to have a chance to read it since it just got circulated. So let's have a discussion next week, but I'm asking all the next meeting, excuse me. But I'm just asking all the board members, please, to read it beforehand and come to the meeting ready if there's any feedback to have or comments on it.
And if anybody has any questions between now and the next meeting or clarifications, or would like me to bring anything else to the next meeting, let me know and I'm happy to do it between now and then.
Thanks, Karen. Second, master plan committee, Jim.
Yep, so I circulated the draft of the changes to the committee. I think we're scheduling a meeting for Wednesday or Thursday morning next week. We'll review those comments and should be in a position to bring the full document to the board shortly.
And I will tell you that for me, just so we can solve this now, is that next Wednesday I'm a little busy, but I think next Thursday morning might be a good time for us. So let me know.
All right, Thursday is.
All right. Anything on Turntable Junction?
Yes, I spoke with the property owner today. He's agreed to meet me and let me get in the building, so that is happening next Tuesday, and I will thereafter prepare the report. And I guess the question is, not having done this with the board before, do you guys prefer to review a draft of the report prior to scheduling a public hearing, or do you just want me to prepare the report? We're gonna go ahead and schedule here.
We've done it both ways in the past.
What do you wanna do?
I think it'd be useful to circulate a draft to the board so that when we have the public hearing, if there are items that the board would like to have included that aren't in the draft, we can make sure that they're included for the public hearing. But I don't, that if that works.
Okay, just a reminder, the noticing requirements are a little different for an investigation hearing. We have to publish twice.
Right.
The second of which has to be at least 10 days, so it's 2 consecutive weeks. So I can work with Caitlin or whoever to make sure once we schedule the hearing, that we provide the notice. And the notice only goes to the property owner, and obviously we publish notice on our website of the hearing.
Right, so based on calendar, what's your sense as to timeline? I mean, obviously August 25th is off the table, but are we looking at the end of September or?
Most likely, yeah. It'll give me time to circulate the report. I mean, after Tuesday, so it's a significant amount of work to do on the report. So it's 14 properties that we're assessing, so.
So let's tentatively think maybe September 22nd, is when that might happen. And if we need to push past that, we can, but I think September 8th might be a little ambitious, given we have other applications pending and other things going on, because I think we have.
First aid squad.
September 8th, we have first aid squad, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking.
All right, no, I think that works.
Okay.
That'll give me plenty of time.
Okay. Shade tree ordinance. We decided to have council move forward. I think that was discussion the last meeting.
Yes, council reviewed it.
The council never received it.
So,
Who was supposed to send it to the council?
Trent, so I think was in this case.
Council never received it.
Okay,
I mean, as far as I
Never saw
know,
it.
yeah, no.
so let me send a note to Trent to move forward on that, make sure that we.
Oh, Adrian is the liaison.
Oh, it's Adrian. I thought it was.
She's the liaison.
Oh, so
Trent's
it's
a member.
Adrian.
Trent's a member.
Alright. He's the one who sent me the email. I thought it was him. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll follow up.
Trent's a member. I appointed him.
Oh.
Adrian's the liaison.
Okay, so I'll email Adrian, and get that note for that helps. Item 7 on the agenda is approval of minutes from our July 28th, meeting. Those were circulated with the agenda. Can I get a motion on the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
Carol,
Well, for any corrections or adjustments to the minutes, any,
Well, I was recused from part of that meeting, so
so
I
should vote on the minutes if you weren't. All right, so no corrections on the minutes now, please.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna.
Yes.
Mr. Steiner,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Mr. Eckel,
Yeah, yes.
Mr. Pavers.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that's minutes. Item 8 on the agenda is resolution memorializing action taken by the board for River Crossing YMCA, 64 Catherine Street, block 15, lot 5. That was, you didn't get that, right, Carol?
Nope. The draft is done. I just need to compare it against the additional information that may be in the minutes. Then I'll circulate it to everybody. I spoke with counsel today. He knows it's on its way, so it should be ready, assuming that there's no major changes from everybody for the board to adopt at the next meeting.
Okay. Then item 9 on the agenda this evening is the continuation of the public hearing for John Global LLC, 54 State Route 12, Block 45, Lot 2. Before we proceed with that, I just want to make sure before the mayor leaves, do you have any chair items that we need to discuss that we didn't get to? I don't think so, but I'll just say. Okay. And I know Carrie, you're recused, you're gonna be stepping off as well. Do you have you don't anything else that you need for us, right? We're good?
I don't, but I'm happy to, if you need me, just text me at the end of the meeting if anything does happen to come up. I have no executive session. I have nothing else to discuss.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Night.
All right, so we are continuing the public hearing from last meeting on this application. To refresh everyone's memory, where we were at was there was testimony given by multiple witnesses, and we made the decision to pause before the planner started the testimony so that it would all be kind of together in one shot. That's kind of where we're at. So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stephen Gruenberg on behalf of the applicant, and I'm here with my co-counsel, Mr. Lee Roth. And you are correct, at the last meeting, we presented several witnesses. Mr. Tarek Sohail, who's the principal of the applicant, Carlos Tovar, who presented architectural testimony, Eric Rootnarain presented the engineering testimony and the plan. Connor Hughes presented the traffic engineering testimony, and we have one witness left, although everybody is here just in case. And that would be Mr. D. Thomas Stearns, planner, and we had actually entered his CV into evidence as A7, I believe, and he had been accepted by the board as a professional planner. And now I'm going to ask him to please give the board. He's been sworn to, I believe, right?
let's do it
Do it
again just
just
to
in
make
case.
sure.
You swear from the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth to the best of your ability.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Stearns, can you please tell the board what you did to review this application and the substance of your review?
Okay,
Can you put the
visit-
microphone in front of me, please? Thank you.
We'll share.
I visited the site, I reviewed the zoning ordinance, the zoning map. I looked at all the engineering plans and drawings, the architectural plans, I reviewed all the professional memos. I reviewed the 2010 master plan, the 2015 reexamination of the master plan, and the 2022 master plan. I reviewed Jim Kyle's memo. I think he's done a good job of summarizing all the points of fact. I think he's correct that special reasons need to be shown, and the previous testimony establishes special reasons and proves that this use variance can be granted. I think the previous witnesses have given you a good overview of the project, and I'm going to focus on the necessary proofs.
And can you describe the existing site for us, how the site is split up?
Yeah, just briefly, again, the site is split between Flemington Borough and Raritan Township. There's like 5.5 acres in Flemington in the TC zone, and there's like 4.3 acres in Raritan in the I2 major industrial zone.
And this is actually our proposed use and existing use is permitted use in Raritan Township, right?
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah, I just wanted to make a couple quick points. Again, this is a small warehouse by comparison. This is not a 1 billion square foot big box warehouse in a major industrial park. What's existing now is roughly 100,000 square feet. Proposed is 88,000 square feet for the new addition. Again, for a total of 188,000 square feet roughly. And according to the applicant, the building was originally constructed in 1947. That's almost 80 years ago. Bemis started manufacturing operations in 1956.
and ended around 2012, so they were in business 56 years. WBM, the current occupant, has been in operation here since 2014, or 12 years.
And why don't you describe a little bit the current operations and how they're similar to what Bemis had done on site previously?
Sure. Jim Kyle, in his report on page 4, he talked about that the current tenant, WBM, appears to be operating a warehouse and distribution use that involves no manufacturing, which is not the same as a historical use. Most of the storage that occurred in the past was likely for products that were manufactured on site, not for products manufactured off site. But this will need to be confirmed. I don't disagree with what Jim's saying, but I just want to add kind of a clarification to this and some information we just sort of found out the other day. Again, when Tariq testified, he mentioned that a portion of what WBM does is devoted to repackaging or breaking down bulk shipments of like spices and nuts, and they put them in the smaller containers for distribution and sale. And they have a machine there for repackaging items like birdseed, rice, salt, nuts. But they also are mixing raw spices, salt, pepper, garlic, white and peat, pink pepper, black pepper. So this is also kind of a light manufacturing operation and repackaging. Same with the nuts, they mix different percentage of products and repackage into like smaller containers and put a label on them and ship them out. They have a certification from the FDA for their food products. They're a USDA organic certification for spices, the pink salt. A lot of these items they come in internationally from different countries. And again, they mix them or repackage them or whatever.
So it's very similar to a large extent about what happened with Bemis previously, because although we kind of thought that it was going from a big package just into a little package, they're actually creating something new by mixing different materials into a different food product or a birdseed product.
Yeah, it's mixing, and it's very similar to a light industrial use.
Having said that, we're conceding that we do need the D1.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Again, so there's sort of 3 steps there. There's the receiving of raw materials, they're sort of stored, they use them, they do the mixing, the repackaging, whatever, and then they're shipped out. So again, I would conclude that there is some light industrial use, although minimal. And again, we recognize that the light industrial zone, light industrial use as a conditional use does prohibit warehouses. Let me talk about the surrounding land use for a moment. Again, the site's unique, it's separate, it's by itself. Further to the west, you have the golf course along Route 12, the driving range. Immediately to the east is the former bakery, the Grateful Bites. That's now closed and vacant. Further to the east is the railroad, and beyond the railroad is the Shimmy Shine Car Wash, and then there's a mix of commercial and residential uses, and then you sort of have in the back the townhomes, the Clark Circle. And then I think on the far corner, you have the Weichert Realty, which is really an office use. So it's kind of a mix, and I'll talk about this more later. To the south in Raritan Township, it's an open field of the Moore family, LLC. And then you have the adjacent lands in Raritan Township are zoned R3 and R7, residential, not multifamily. But again, the site, the small little postage stamp site that this building is on in Raritan Township is again zoned for industrial use. So let me just talk about the TC zone for a moment. Again, it permits a number of commercial uses such as office, medical office, indoor, outdoor recreation, research facilities, health and fitness. As conditional uses, it allows multifamily, retail, light industrial are permitted conditional uses. And I find it interesting that industrial and warehouse uses are not permitted, even though the site was former industrial or manufacturing use. Again, for Bemis since like 65 or whatever, 56, and has been, and it's been a current warehouse use since 2014. But it seems to me like this is a bit of an oversight. Again, given the long-term existing historical use of the site. And it's sort of like also when you look at the zone, it's sort of all these mixed uses, you got retail, you got industrial, you got things, you got some office, you got a lot of stuff in there. It seems like it's a anything goes site, kind of except for warehouse use. So let me summarize the variances. Again, this is a bifurcated application, no site plan. We're looking for 1D1 use variance from section 2618B. Again, allow warehouse and distribution for the proposed building addition, since warehouse is not permitted in the TC zone.
And we had noticed for different C variances, but like had been set forth at the last meeting, we're going to defer C variances to site plan approval as part of the bifurcation of this application.
That's correct. First, I want to make some broader points about the application. I think the overall theme of this application is continuing the same use and maintaining the existing business. Is acknowledging an existing business and warehouse use that's been there for 12 years, and the prior manufacturing use of the old Bemis plant that was there for 56 years before they stopped in 2012. And I think the board has to view this with common sense of the existing reality of the existing use that exists there on the site. So let me just go through the proofs for a D1 variance. Again, we have to meet the special reasons of the MLUL. The site must be particularly suited to this location. Use will not result in a substantial detriment to the public good, and the use will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan or the zoning ordinance. And again, and the fifth thing we need to do is the use needs to meet the Medici enhanced proof uses for uses that aren't inherently beneficial. So let me go through the positive criteria, the special reasons from again the purposes of zoning from the MLUL. So the first purpose of zoning is paragraph E. To promote the establishment of appropriate population densities and concentrations. Why? The warehouse is a consistent land use with the surrounding properties, and it's a compatible land use. There's no negative effects on the surrounding properties. It's been an inconspicuous presence on Route 12 for 60+ years. This is a very efficient use of land. This allows the applicant to expand its business. If the variance is denied, then the applicant cannot expand at this location, and it would create an immense hardship for the applicant if he can't expand. This is going to create a more efficient and safer workplace. It's going to give them a more modern facility. Right now, they're working with the old Bemis buildings that have very low ceilings, as Tariq talked about previously. Again, the applicant is proposing to reconfigure an existing industrial site and an existing business that are a benefit and a good tax rateable to the community. All right, next purpose is zoning G, to provide sufficient space at appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses. Why? The immediate neighborhood properties are commercial, so we're compatible in scale and intensity, and in the same TC zone. This reinforces the TC zone in Flemington as a designated center as part of the state plan that has infrastructure, sewer and water, and connected to the regional road network. By providing sufficient space in this appropriate location for the delivery of goods in order to meet the needs of all New Jersey citizens. The warehouse is an essential logistical partner in the region's broader commercial ecosystem. Next paragraph of the purposes of zoning I. Promote a desirable and visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design arrangements. This is a very creative design solution for the expansion of an existing non-conforming warehouse use. It enhances the aesthetics of the building and the area. Architecturally, the proposed building is striking and will improve the streetscape along Route 12. Again, as discussed in the last meeting, we'll look at changing the color to a more neutral selection. And the character of the site and the existing building is vastly improved with the new building and the new architectural facade.
That includes the improvements to the site, including removal of those silos and
Yes,
structures in the
Yes.
back of the
yes,
building.
yes,
Is that an enhancement to the site from a visual?
yes, indeed,
standpoint?
yes, and the railroad tracks, yes. Continuing purposes of zoning, paragraph M. To encourage coordination of the various public-private procedures and activities shaping land development with a view of lessening the cost of such development and to the more efficient use of land. Why? Well, it's meeting the market demand for the growing demand for warehouse and logistics facilities to support e-commerce and changing consumer behavior. It's improved efficiency in supply chain. The warehouse contributes to a more efficient supply chain, leading to cost savings and improved customer service for businesses and consumers. And then this won't cost the borough anything. In fact, it will be a significant positive tax rate for the borough. And there's going to be no school children generated or negative fiscal impact. The property will be a good tax rateable without school impact. Again, this is something better, improves the character of the site. The applicant has always endeavored to be a good neighbor and indeed largely has been an invisible presence in the area. And again, this is a very efficient use of land.
You say it's an efficient use of the land. Is that because we're taking the existing buildings and improving upon them and expanding them?
Yes,
So it's essentially, rather than starting from ground zero and building something new, you're efficiently using the existing land and the structures thereon
yes,
as part of development.
yes. The existing buildings are essentially being renovated with, I guess you'd be looking at the plan, say there'd be infill structures in between.
And that advances that purpose of
Yes.
the land use law of having essentially adaptive reuse of existing buildings.
Yes, indeed. I think this is my last purpose of zoning, promote utilization of renewable energy resources. So we have 2 electric vehicle charging stations and other sustainable practices for the proposed building as the architect had described. And also the new state law requires all new warehouse buildings over 100,000 square feet constructed after July of 2022 to be solar ready. Which requires that at least 40% of the roof area exclusive of certain features be reserved for future solar panels. So we are doing, green practices and renewable energy sources.
So why is this particularly suited to this particular location, this type of use?
Okay. Well, there's a number of reasons. First of all, it's proximate to the major arterial transportation networks. We front on Route 12. We're proximate to the highways 12, 31, and 202. Again, that are crucial for efficient warehousing and distribution. We have shared infrastructure. The site's particularly suited for warehouse because it shares the same high capacity utility corridors, the infrastructure is in place, wide commercial roadways, direct highway access required by industrial and commercial districts. And size and the shape of lot, the property is appropriate for the proposed warehouse design and operations. Again, this lot is the second largest in the TC zone. The golf course is the largest, and is appropriate for the warehouse use. Again, the building's existed, since the fifties, and the warehouse use has been in operation 12 years. Also, it's, compatible with the surroundings. So the warehouse design will minimize negative impacts on neighborhood properties. It's already functioning here inconspicuously on the site, not causing harm to the neighborhood.
In fact, it's compatible with the industrial zone that this property is partially, the use is partially located in, correct?
In Raritan.
In Raritan Township.
Yes, yes,
So, I mean, we're connected to Raritan Township where this
Yes,
is actually
yes.
located.
yes. Again, the site's particularly suited for warehouse use. Again, this has been an industrial warehouse building for 79 years. An existing building already exists on the property and is an existing warehouse use as well, and uniquely suited and fits within the subject property. Again, the existing development pattern is define the character of the land and creates the opportunity for this project with this particular site and location. Also, it's particularly suited even with the floodplain and flood hazard areas. NJDEP regulates sites even if environmentally constrained. An applicant can be permitted to employ construction techniques that allow for various appropriate development for uses like this. So the floodplain does not affect the suitability. Again, the use promotes the general welfare because the proposed site is particularly suited. And I conclude that the site is particularly suited for the use for the grant of this variance.
We've discussed the negative criteria, if you could explain that to the board.
Sure. Again, with the negative criteria, the criteria are not no detriment. Instead, use of the term substantial detriment indicates the detriment must be significant. It also has to be weighed against the benefit of the public good that is identified in the positive criteria, but the detriment needs to be substantial. So the applicant can continue to operate and manage its property in the same inconspicuous manner which it operates today. You know, the intensity and scale of this are a lot less than what you would have if this was a big box warehouse. The site plan demonstrates that allowing this warehouse expansion is a far better zoning alternative than leaving the building as is. The expansion of the building as warehouse promotes the public good for improvement to the site and the building in comparison to the permitted zoning alternative of leaving it as is for an alternative use. The building has been operational again as a warehouse for 12 years and without problems. And the site's in a sewer service area. It has public sewer, public water. There's no negative property value effects. There's no negative impact on the character of the surrounding neighborhood. And in fact, I would say the character is going to be improved with the new architectural facade. Again, the applicant's warehouse is compatible in scale and intensity with the surrounding land uses. There's no negative effects. You know, in scale, everything's a one-story building there in the TC zone, which is essentially the south side of Route 12. And similar on the north side of Route 12, except for that one tall office building. Again, there's no negative traffic effects as testified where level of service C or better. There's no increase in truck traffic. Again, the truck traffic is very minimal. The site's on Route 12. It's a major state highway. But we don't have any public safety issues.
Let's focus a little bit more on that. You heard Mr. Hughes's testimony with respect to his traffic study, correct?
Yes.
And that traffic study found that even under the worst case scenario, based upon the size of the proposed building, the ITE standards would find that there would be a significant increase in traffic.
That's correct.
And that would be under a conservative analysis, not even based upon what we're telling the board our use would be, but what the standard in the industry determines it to be.
Correct.
How does that factor into your decision as to whether there's gonna be a substantial detriment to the public good?
Well, I don't think I see any detriment.
And that's really the main concern, isn't it, when it comes to warehouse uses, is what type of truck traffic
Yeah.
and traffic concerns and
Right.
safety concerns there might be as a result of a warehouse.
Yeah, and if I recall, Tariq testified, they have like 1 or 2 trucks a week. If I recall correctly.
Yeah, but even under the worst case scenario, under ITE standards, our expert is saying that there is not going to be a substantial impact to truck traffic and traffic coming to and from the site, correct?
That's correct.
And his traffic study was reviewed by the board's traffic engineer and found to be appropriate and raised no concerns, correct?
That's correct.
And the only thing that the board's traffic expert has indicated is that we should get a letter of no interest from the DOT, which we have agreed to do.
Right.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, I forgot where I was. There's no noise issues.
There you go.
There's no public safety issues. Again, there's no school impact. Again, the site is very consistent with the historic nature of the site as a manufacturing and distribution uses. Again, I'll say it's similar to what was going on with Bemis, except less light industrial and more warehouse. Again, this is not a substantial detriment to the public good or impairment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance. In essence, there's no negative effect on the surrounding properties or damage to the character of the neighborhood. So, prong 4, the plan will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan or zoning ordinance. So how are we consistent? Let me go through a whole bunch of things in the master plan. Just go through those. I would say this plan furthers many of the recommendations in the 2010 Borough of Flemington Master Plan, which was adopted June of 2010. Again, the goals and objectives of the master plan recommend that it employs strategies to encourage community and economic development within the borough and strengthen and enhance the commercial sector of the borough. I think we're doing that, we're achieving that. The 2011 sustainability element set forth the following goals and objectives. 1, focus the borough's remaining development potential on lands that can support compact development, well served by transportation infrastructure and in proximity to employment and service centers. I think we've achieved that. And objective 2A of that, support the borough's mixed use and commercial areas by encouraging complementary infill development and removing barriers to success, such as, but not limited to, permitting a variety of complementary and supporting uses and encouraging shared parking. I think we achieved that. The applicant's plan accomplishes all these goals without the expenditure of municipal funds. And again, the plan is somewhat consistent with the recommendations for the TC zone in the 2015 master plan on pages 40 and 41. And it says there, and I'll quote, the TC district provides areas for more intense commercial use and generally located along the periphery of the borough, while the district permits a variety of retail, service, office, and light industrial use. The predominant uses existing in the zone are office and light industrial uses. The TC district's permitted uses should be limited to uses such as office, professional services, medical office lab and support, and light industrial, repair facilities, indoor-outdoor rental. These uses will accommodate the majority of existing uses in the district and are appropriate in areas that are not dependent on pedestrian and bicycle travel. Additionally, they are well suited to the existing stock of buildings, notwithstanding Any use which relies on truck traffic should be limited to places where direct access to the regional road network is provided, which we have. Again, the proposed building features many green features as advocated in the 2010 master plan, where it states encourages sustainable practices, including use of green building techniques, as well as the use of alternative technology, including those that produce clean energy and otherwise have a comparative reduced impact upon the environment. There's also quotes in the 2015 reexamination report. Again, objective 1A. Yeah. Support the borough's mixed use and commercial areas by encouraging complementary infill development and removing barriers to success. Such as not limited to permitting a variety of complementary and supporting uses and encouraging shared parking. Objective 5A, encourage new construction and rehabilitation to utilize green building design strategies, which we're doing. Objective 5B, incorporate green building design strategies into municipal facilities and infrastructure as upgrades and renovations become necessary. Objective 5C, reduce the environmental impact of development in the borough via adjustments to the borough's site plan standards, such as but not limited to lighting and impervious cover to the extent possible. And objective 6A, encourage property owners in all zone districts to produce renewable energy on their property as an accessory use, which is what we're, I guess, planning to do eventually. So in particular, the master plan specifically mentions light industrial in reference to the TC zone. And there is a definition in the ordinance as to light industrial use, and it is a conditional use in the TC zone. So it acknowledges the existing light industrial conditions in the zone, but again, it does prohibit warehouse use. However, I would suggest that the board, I think, needs to really consider the existing warehouse use that's been here for 12 years. Again, this is not a greenfield site plan application for a new warehouse. It's essentially renovation of an existing site. And again, I just wanted to point something else out. When you look at the 2010 zoning plan, a zone plan, the site is only the site by itself is a TZ zone, and on the other on the left is the VS zone, and the other is the HR, the highway retail. In 2015, it's sort of the same, only they change it to the village artesian on the right, and still the highway retail on the left. In 2022, then it's sort of still the same, but there was a multifamily overlay zone that was just over that zone and the one next to it. So it's been kind of a curious progression of changes around the zoning, and now that whole southern strip is the TC zone. So there's been a lot of changes there, but in all those changes, they haven't really recognized the existing industrial use. So I wanted to quote, there was a quote in the 2022 master plan there was some community participation. This is on page 12. It says, Flemington has remained stagnant for years. Any movement forward should be an improvement. And I would suggest that approving this project would be movement forward. Other relevant goals from the 2020 master plan employ strategies to encourage community and economic development within the borough. And then the 2020 land use map on page 24 acknowledges and shows the applicant site as an industrial use, which is interesting. But the zoning didn't really reflect that. So page 22 of the master plan describes the TC zone. Again, the purpose of the TC district is to provide areas for more commercial uses, commonly with a wholesale component or outdoor storage, which were developed in proximity to rail lines and highways. While the district permits a variety of retail, service, office, and light industrial use, the predominant use existing in the zone for office and light industrial uses. The TC district's permitted uses should be revised to include uses such as office, professional services, medical uses, and light industrial, repair facilities, indoor, outdoor rec, community centers, gathering theaters, and higher education. So this suggests moving, if I interpret this right, moving light industrial from a conditional use to a fully permitted use. So I would suggest then that we're consistent. Again, I would suggest that the site has historically been used for both manufacturing and warehouse, which supports the current use variance application. Okay, thanks. So let me go through the Medici proofs now. Okay. So let me just go through here really quick. Again, for the municipal land use law, this consistency between land uses is defined as substantial consistency with the local master plan, prevention of conflict between distinct uses, and harmony in scale, intensity, and visually. And I think we have these present with this application. Also, you know, if you look at some case law, New Jersey courts, specifically Manalapan versus the Township Committee ruling that absolute or literal identity is not required. That consistency with the master plan allows minor or incidental variations, provided it does not substantially or materially undermine or distort the basic provisions and objectives of the master plan. And does what we're doing distort the objectives and of the master plan for the TC zone? I don't think it does. So just one other point I want to make. Again, looking at all those uses along the south side of Route 12, you can start with the golf course, which I think is a permitted use and a legally conforming use. That's in the permitted use. Then there's again WBM site. Then there's the former Grateful Bites. I'm assuming that was a permitted use, or it appears to me to be retail. So I don't know if that was a conditional use. The Shanty Shine. I don't know. Is that a conditional use as retail? I mean, it seemed like it was a reasonably new site plan application. And then, there's a construction company there. I don't know if that's a legally conforming use. It could be a conditional use. There's the Swing Set Warehouse. Again, I don't know, is that retail? So that's a conditional use. And, Riker on the end at Main Street is office use, which is permitted. So it's kind of a mixed bag of uses. Again, I feel like the zone doesn't really reflect the reality of the existing conditions and land uses of that district or the neighborhood.
So let's kind of sum up a little bit. Just when on these type of applications, it ends up in so large extent, is this a good thing for the borough? And why is it a good thing for the borough? And I think I heard you say that it's a good thing because it's consistent with what's been going on in the site for many, many years.
Yes.
And that it's not a departure from the mixed bag of commercial activities that are taking place within the neighborhood.
Correct.
And there won't be a substantial detriment to the public good because of what Mr. Hughes's testimony was in connection with the traffic generation.
Correct.
And that there isn't a substantial impairment to the zone plan and zoning ordinance because although warehousing is not permitted, light industrial is.
Mhm.
And this is similar to the Venus application or Venus use that's been going on, had been going on for many, many years.
Correct.
And the expansion isn't gonna cause a substantial detriment to the public.
Correct.
I think that's all I have for you.
Okay.
Okay, so our custom is to have questions from our professionals, then from board members, and then from members of the public. So I'm sure Jim will have a lot. So let me start with everybody else, just to check that off. So Jay, do you have questions on the plan testimony? Bob, do you have any questions?
I do.
Do you have any questions? Okay.
You're making me nervous. Like a bunch of great questions.
I am. You're the planner asking planning questions.
I'm curious, so the light industrial bend is interesting because that is conditionally permitted in the zone. The only conditions are that operations are from 7 AM to 9 PM.
Right.
You can't do anything outside. Do you have a percentage estimate? What percentage of what is done or what will be done in this facility could be considered a conditionally permitted light industrial use?
I think the answer to that we just discovered the other day was about 30% would be considered like a light industrial use where it's potentially it's kind of a mix of the distribution activities.
Right.
And mixing things together. So we're conceding that it's a warehouse use, but warehouses actually, that I learned in a different application, have a lot of distribution activities that are almost like light industrial. So I don't know if I can characterize it as an official light industrial use, but it's so similar to the light industrial use that I don't think it's a big departure from what the intent of the ordinance is.
I mean, what you described, taking raw materials, spices, different types of spices and mixing them into another product that is then sold. I mean, that's what light manufacturing is.
Right.
Our definition talks specifically about, you know, taking raw materials and creating something else out of it, and that's light manufacturing. So I'm glad you guys provided the information. I think it's certainly relevant because I think what you're hearing is that some percentage of this use that will occur here is, you know, reasonably permitted as being a condition of use. And I think, you know, I can't remember, we talked about the hours of operation previously, you know.
I don't think we had testimony on specific hours. I think we had testimony about number of trucks. We had.
That was so I had my notes Monday to Friday, 7:30 to 5:30. Some employees 4:30 to 8:30. Some weekends when busy. The only restriction on the conditional use is it has to be between 7 AM and 9 PM. That's it. So it doesn't completely, you know, carry the day, but I think it's relevant for the board to consider that some percentage of what would be occurring in this building is an allowed light industrial use. I think that's the only question I have.
Okay, so we're gonna go to board members with questions. We're gonna start with folks who are remote. Hannah. Oh, Dennis.
No.
Don.
No.
Mike.
I'm good.
Melissa. Seems to be okay. All right, Mark.
Oh, fine.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so you had mentioned, I have a couple questions. So you had mentioned one of the reasons why it was a benefit was that there was growing demand for warehousing. That was a positive rationale. But we heard before testimony that there wasn't gonna be any change in the volume of the product moving through. So my interpretation of that is by increasing the warehousing volume. So I was trying to understand a little bit more, if we're not increasing the volume, how is that actually a positive rationale? But tied to that, my second piece is more related to if the volume is, well, maybe my first question is to clarify that, is the volume actually increasing through the site? If that's gonna be a positive benefit.
Yes.
So the amount of volume in the site from a warehousing perspective is intended to.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, the testimony was that the volume will increase, but it's not gonna cause an increase in truck traffic because there will be essentially the same amount of trucks, but they'll be able to have more volume in them to take care of it. But I mean, the ultimate is that under the ITE standards, and even if this was a much more intense warehouse that had many more storage bays or shipping bays, that this use will not have a substantial traffic impact. And that's why this use is actually kind of unique, is because we only have those, I think it's 3 storage bays. And if you're that type of use with those type of bays, it limits the amount of truck traffic that you can actually have.
Yeah, I remember that from last time, so I understand the total volume of truck traffic would.
Yeah.
Be within those limits, even if it was a bigger site. I was just trying to clarify the piece around the volume effect, explicitly remember there wasn't gonna be a volume. So if we're saying now there would be a volume increase, I just think that's important for everybody to know. The other question that I had was kind of related to that would be, because it is a unique site and you have just the 3 bays we talked about last time, but that really creates a site that is kind of specific to this use. So the other question that I had was, I understand the benefits and I appreciate the benefits of increased safety, efficiency. What I'm trying to wrap my head around and understand is what's the cost benefit? So if you're gonna spend the money to invest in a larger site, right, it's obviously there's money involved in that. So I'm trying to understand what is in addition to the safety and the efficiency benefit, is there a cost-driven benefit here as well? And the reason why I bring that up is because if it's a unique site specific to this one area, I would just want to understand like the term viability of it to make sure that it's sustainable and it is so unique.
Well, they're gonna invest a lot of money to expand this by 88,000 square feet, which is, I mean, that's not a small project. So there's they're gonna have more efficient operation. They're gonna be able to grow their business. And I think the cost benefit to the township is is gonna have a highly assessed valuation. There'll be more taxes on it.
Is it fair to say that taking an existing site with an existing building and improving that by additions, rather than going out and buying another site someplace else and going through ground up where you have to purchase the property, that to an applicant is a cost benefit analysis?
Yes.
If you already own something and you want to improve it and it needs improvement in order to make your site functional and safe, it becomes a benefit from a cost analysis to improve that site as opposed to going out and buying something else new and moving out and leaving a vacant building.
Correct.
Well, I think you spoke to it too. I mean, you said the volume's been increased, so more income.
People don't improve their buildings and invest in it unless they hope to get more income in them.
Agreed. That's why I asked the question, because last I heard there wasn't a volume, but that's the reason why I wanted to clarify. The other point that I had, or a question I had, was just the inconspicuous nature of it. So
I'm sorry?
You mentioned inconspicuous.
Oh, yes.
Because it's currently inconspicuous.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to understand, so I know the height of this is gonna change, I believe, significantly, because one of the limitations is the overall height, which is restricting the manufacturing capabilities. So I was just trying to understand if how will that still remain conspicuous? And I think it goes back more to the questions that we had last time around the vegetation and the visual.
Well, a lot of the building, it's kind of a, I don't know, I'll call it a flag lot like shaped building. You got lower in the front, it's that 1-story brick. When you're coming down Route 12, it just sort of blends in with the rest of the visual streetscape of Route 12. And, you're sort of, you're driving what, 30, 40, 45 miles an hour. You're kind of looking ahead, you kind of don't really notice it. And the higher portion that's in the back and the towers that are in the back, you don't even really tend to notice those towers so much from Route 12, and they're all coming down. And that's like 450 feet back from the road, so that I mean, that's quite a distance, so
Is it fair to say what the traveling public is gonna see is going to be a much more improved art from an architectural
yeah,
standpoint?
yes, indeed.
And then the last question I had was, I know you talked about solar ready. Is there any intention to put solar panels in, or is it just to be solar ready? That's the last question.
We definitely gonna put in
Solar,
solar here.
Someday, if it doesn't, if it needs to come back before the board, we'll do that if it needs to be, but you want to make it solar ready to be able to do that. And there's a benefit to doing that, not just to the public, but to the app.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
I just have one question. When you refer to the master plan and consistency with the master plan, you seem to be referring to quite a bit to the 2011 master plan. So we have the 2022 master plan, and I'm just wondering why you didn't refer more to the 2022 master plan. In your consistency review.
Well, I referred to all of them.
Okay. You mostly refer to the 2011
It might have been because I cut them off, quite honestly.
I'm just wondering, was there any reason for that? And was there any?
Well, there was a lot of
widely
repeats. A lot of the
changed
master
in
plans repeated a lot of the same goals and objectives. So what I covered in 2010 or 2011 was, it was sort of the same stuff in the later dates.
And because I don't have.
I did quote one thing from 2022 that was a new item, so.
The items that you quoted from 2011, are they also in the 2022 master plan?
I want to say most of them are. I don't have them right here to confirm that to you. But generally, yes.
Generally, yes.
Yes.
I'm good. I see your hand, Dennis. Before I have my questions, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the traffic again, since it came up just now. I understand using the traffic study, the belief is they're going to have less traffic than the traffic study. So I get that. I don't understand. The operational manager had testified that there's no traffic increase, and I don't understand, why is that the case, or are you changing that there could be some traffic increase? I understand you're saying it's still going to be below the study, but I don't understand where, with doubling the warehouse, how you cannot have more trucks come into that building.
I think we need to do that.
I can clarify that. That's no problem.
If you want, I can recall after this witness, and we can recall.
Yeah, let's, so Dennis, if it's okay, we'll recall.
Sure. Thank
After
you.
we get any questions, I want to give members of the public, if there are any questions, consistency there. So I've got a few questions. Justin raised one of my questions about 2010 versus 22 master plans. I appreciate you asking that. So, and then the question that Mark raised about inconspicuous and things like that. The first question I have is, I recognize that Raritan Township has continued to keep the zoned industrial, but it is, if you look at the Raritan Township zoning map, it is an island of industrial for one lot, surrounded entirely, as you testified to, by R3 and R7 residential zoning. Take that with the residential existing use on Route 12 that you testified with, and the new Liberty Village project that is going to be for the most part entirely residential. Can you please explain how the expansion of this use is still maintaining compatibility with the overwhelming adjacency of residential uses, which are conditionally permitted as well in the TC zone?
To be honest, if you put a building addition on there, it's all enclosed, the operation is inside, you know, there's no impact now. And there's not gonna be an impact in the future.
Okay, second question.
And let me also get, I mean, you know, I think Raritan acknowledges the existing condition that there was an industrial use there. And they zone for that, even though, yeah, it is a postage stamp. You know, I think the other point to make is that, you know, the TC zone is not this perfect Euclidean zone of all homogeneous uses. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on there, and there's a lot of different stuff going on across the street. So I think, I don't know, I think the borough just needs to be cognizant of that and recognize it.
Does it also go towards the uniqueness of the location of this site being on the border of Raritan Township?
Yes.
And Flemington,
Yes.
where this site historically has always been industrial and Raritan Township continues to recognize that.
Yes.
And Flemington boroughs try to do different things in that general area without recognizing the existing industrial use. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So then the next question I have builds on what Schlein was saying about is that when you were providing testimony around the Medici standard criteria conditions, you were delineating all of the adjacency along the south side of Route 12. You didn't mention the residential, but you picked out all these other pieces that are within the TC. You spoke about in terms of existing conditions, and what I'd like for you to speak to is the fact that in the 2022 plan and the ordinances that have been adopted subsequent to that by the governing body, we have stripped off the overlay, we have rezoned this all as TC, and it's expressing the goals and objectives of our land use element is to see a transformation of the south side of Route 12 beyond what is existing uses there, but to stuff that is more consistent with what we're hearing from residents in terms of what they're wanting to see. Can you speak to that a little bit more? You're hanging your hat on existing a lot and not as much as what we've articulated as what the borough would like to see in our most recent land use element.
Well, when we go back to what Mr. Kyle had actually talked about in terms of the permitted uses in the TC zone and what you could use these existing building with, and how is it fair to say that the size of this building as it currently exists isn't consistent with all of those uses that are either permitted uses or conditional uses in the TC zone?
I believe it is consistent.
In other words, this use, the size of this building, you can't really put those permitted uses or permitted conditional uses in the existing building, because the site, the way it is, given the size of the site and the size of the building, it isn't conducive to any.
Yeah, you'd probably have to tear it down and build something new.
But what we're doing is improving on an existing site with an existing building to maintain a historical use that's been there for almost 80 years.
Yes.
And those are the goals of the master plan. And those are the goals of the municipal land use law that we're advancing as a result of this proposal, as opposed to, that's why we need a use variance.
Yes.
This property isn't conducive to any of those permitted uses or conditional uses.
Correct.
Okay, so the next question is then there's been a sign out in front of the building for a very long time looking to lease additional warehouse space. Part of the rationale that you're providing for the relief here that's being sought is that they need this space to meet the needs of their operations here, and that's why it's suited to do so. How can both of those things be true at the same time?
Well, I think as what Tariq goes back to is a lot of the space, there's very low ceiling heights. I think that's what it goes back to, and there's a lot of inefficient stuff there that they really can't use some of that space for. I think that's part of the issue.
Okay. And I understand that we're not dealing with site plan issues, but that is about that response is dealing with how the building will be constructed, not around the bifurcated question of the expansion of the use.
We'll present different testimony on that for you.
Okay, thanks. The next other question I had, there was an intimation at a prior hearing about this application that there had been a prior approval for by the zoning by the construction official given a prior approval if to go up a second story or something if this expansion wasn't approved or something like that. I've waited for somebody to give testimony on that, and since you're the last witness, I'm sorry it falls to you. Is that true? Do you have?
I have no knowledge of that.
Is there anybody who has knowledge of that?
I don't think it's something that we're even gonna present to the board this evening or try to bootstrap on an argument at this point as to whether a zoning permit would have been issued in order to allow for an additional height or something like that if the building was, we're here for use variance application, that's why we're here.
Okay, because it was part of the discussion, if I'm remembering correctly, I could be wrong, but I thought it was part of the discussion when we were talking about completeness. And so I would not heard it. But at the time, I know I wanted to hear something about it, if this was true or not.
We're not going there, right? We're not. I didn't handle that part of
I
the
understand.
completeness.
I
So
understand.
I don't know what was argued previously in connection with that, but we're not relying on any grandfathering position for this application. We're here for our use variance application and I think that's appropriate to come before the board for the relief that we're asking for at this point.
Okay, and then the last question is that the majority of the improvements that are being proposed, the expansion of the facility, that is why we're here for the use variance, is happening within the 3-foot floodplain piece of Flemington Boroughs on the area. On the Raritan Township side, you don't have that same concern. I understand looking at the maps, but we're in the borough. So, and I understand you gave testimony about DEP regulating these things. Can you speak to how we can reconcile the fact that granting this relief would essentially allow for construction in a flood hazard area that seems to run counter not to other aspects of our comprehensive plan documents, around the environmental sustainability questions and the hazard areas, things like that.
So I think the testimony was that the DEP allows for us to do certain construction techniques and allows us to seek different permitting for development in those potentially environmentally constrained areas and to allow for appropriate development within those areas. And we can seek the appropriate permitting from the DEP in order for that to take place and do it in a safe and efficient manner that is not a detriment to the zone plan or the public good. But that's also a site plan issue. And ultimately, we would have to prove that to the board that we have the appropriate permitting and can get the appropriate permitting from the DEP and that it wouldn't be a substantial detriment to the public good if you grant that C variance with respect to that relief. So I think for our application for now, we're asking for bifurcation on the use because the use historically has essentially been there and the expansion of that won't be a substantial detriment to the public good. When it comes to the DEP issues, those are site issues that we're going to still have to prove to the board that we can do it and that we can do it in a safe manner.
So hypothetically then, if when we get to site plan, which we're not at the moment, if we were to. It were to come from DEP that they would not approve any sort of expansion into that area. And we've already granted the use variance here. The suggestion is that the applicant would have to figure out a way to construct this expanded warehouse use in largely Raritan Town.
Yeah, we modify the site plan, you know.
We have to satisfy this board and Raritan Township Board that we can develop this site in accordance with all outside governmental agency approvals, including the DEP, and in a manner that is safe for both. But the reason why we're bifurcating this, quite honestly, is we need to establish whether you find the use appropriate rather than investing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do all of that engineering and applications to the DEP to see if they'll do it in the way that Mr. Rupnarain has designed.
Understood.
And honestly, that's the benefit of having a use variance, not only for us, but for the borough. We think this is a really good improvement to this historically industrial site that will be an improvement to this site, both aesthetically and operationally, and make it a viable site. And I think you'll hear some testimony as to why we want to make it, and you've heard testimony why we want to make it viable, because the low ceilings don't let this be used the way it needs to be used. But we can't spend all of that money and try to get DEP approval if at the end of the day I have to get 5 votes out of 7 on a combined use variance site plan approval.
Understood.
So the one thing I want to point out, so since this is a bifurcated application, they have to prove the negative criteria again when they come in for the site plan. So, you know, you heard Mr. Stearns again, if we get to that point, then he's going to have to show that in the context of the site plan that they're presenting, that the negative criteria for the use variance are still met. And we might see changes to this. If we were to approve this, and you know, I imagine Mr. Rubinarain is going to start talking with DEP and figuring out, you know, the permitting aspect of this. We might see some stuff removed from the floodway. I mean, we talked about a reduction in parking. I think that front parking area that is fully in the floodway would be a great thing to greatly reduce. It might improve, you know, quite frankly, Eric might need that for more storage volume, right? To balance. So, you know, this could look different by the time it gets back to us. But at the end of the day, they have to prove the negative criteria again in the context of the site.
Thank you. Just want to make sure, circling back with any other board members who might have thought of another question. Just making sure. Okay, any members of the public with questions for witness on planning testimony? Great, thank you.
Thanks. So I'm going to call Mr. Sohail back to answer Mr. Jobe's question and your question, which I can't remember what it is right now, but you'll. Yes, thank you.
Sworn in?
You're still under oath?
Sure.
Okay. So you were asked the question a couple of times now, or we were asked the question about the board members are having a hard time understanding how, if we're making the buildings bigger, are we gonna have increased volume or increase truck traffic? And why don't you explain to the board, to the extent you think that there's gonna be an increased volume or an increased field traffic again?
So I think last time when I spoke, I think I skipped the word significant. Maybe I didn't say or that should have used. Yeah, of course, there's going to be some traffic in there. I'm going to say there will not be any significant increase in there. So what I was trying to increase, was trying to say was, we're gonna have a bigger warehouse. The way the pickup work in our system, like for example, we sell to Home Depot. Home Depot picks up only once a week. Right now, they send a full truck. It picks up maybe 3 pallets from us, I think. If you have more volume going on, they might be picking up like 5 or 6 pallets. They're not going to send another truck to do that one. It's still going to be the same truck picking up more volume. UPS comes in, you know, 50 boxes, 70 boxes, 80 boxes, same trucks comes and pick it up. So I can go on and on, but I'm saying like volume is gonna increase definitely, but that doesn't mean that traffic is not gonna increase that much. So that's how it is a pickup. Same thing, some companies, Walmart, they go to the DCs, they come pick up once a month from us, you know, maybe 17, 18 pallets. Of course, we're gonna hope that volume goes up from 17, 18 pallets, we can get them for like, 25, 26 pallets. Same truck picks up the more volume from us. We get really lucky, might go from like one truck that we're getting right now, might get like, a little bit more. But at the end, yeah, traffic is gonna increase a little bit, but as our traffic engineer said, even if we double it, we're still gonna be okay with that. So I think that was a misunderstanding from my side, yeah. We're gonna have, definitely our volume's gonna increase a little bit, we don't know by how much. But overall, the traffic, the way the company is scheduled, pickup, they don't really start sending a lot more trucks, they have enough volume, they schedule it, they send to one site, they let us know how many stuff they're picking up, so they leave the space in there. If they go back, instead of keep sending more trucks, they try to pick up minimum with the truck that we have.
You're not gonna need more than 3 shipping bays.
Well, I need to clarify, we're gonna have 9 of them, so that's a requirement to have. We have 3 of them, like in Route 12, and then 6 of them in the back over there. Big operation, we're gonna have more than like 3, we can just operate them. But we're gonna have like, for the smaller trucks, like post office, UPS, so in the front side over here. Back side will be more for the receiving with the big trailers, so they're gonna be here. So to have this operation, we need minimum 8, 9 of them to run this operation.
And that's shown on the existing plan?
Yes, it should.
That's what was evaluated by Mr. Hughes.
Correct. This clearly shows that 3 on the parking lot, and the 12 and 6 in the back over there.
And Mr. Dashna asked a question about the lease sign.
Since we don't have a proper use of that one, the front office area has been empty, the whole low ceiling is empty, so we were just trying to see maybe somebody else can find a use of it. We're not able to.
Is that for the other building or for your building?
No, the building that we have over here, that's for us, but nobody wants to use the space, it's such a bad ceiling that we have over there. And the sign is in over, we don't have any tenants over there.
And your intention eventually is to develop the site for your use.
Correct.
Not for lease in the
Yes.
future.
Again, the only reason we want to do that, we have no use of that. If it's sitting over there, we pay taxes on.
Just so I'm just make sure I'm understanding, so the intent is that the sign that's up there now is because you've got some unusable space.
A lot of it.
The intent is that where approval is granted, that you would be the only user of the space.
Correct, yes.
Dennis, did you get your questions answered?
Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the updated testimony is there would be no significant increase in traffic, correct?
Correct.
And I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but anyone came up,
Before we go, just make sure, is there anything from the professionals?
I don't know if he's gonna ask, but I'm gonna ask, but I don't see 9 loading spots on this plan right now.
Don't be.
In the back.
Huh?
There's 3 in the back.
No, but what about the front side you have in the.
so there is 3 in the. So the front part of the building.
Why don't you come up and the folks can hear and, okay, just pull the mic there, listen to you, so I don't hear you clearly.
And you're submitting form from last time, it's Mr. Ruben for the record.
So the expanded market part of the warehouse, towards the back end of our township section of the building, we have 3 loading zones that can accommodate, typical tractor trailers. Wheelbase 65 units. At the front of the building, in the Flemington portion, there's an existing loading dock there that can accommodate the smaller box trucks.
So that's about 6, right?
Yeah, 6.
Not 9.
I think 9 is what's required based on the size of the building.
Actually, 6 is required.
Oh, 6 is required, I thought.
On the plan, at least, it says that.
Required by.
Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, 6 and 3 is 3 and 3 and 3. Okay, yes. So that's my mistake.
Okay. Can I ask Jay, required by our ordinance?
So wait, hold on, I have this, it's on page 5 of my memo, it's the first full bullet point. So while it wasn't requested as part of the relief, based on the eventual building size. And again, this is not just for the space in Flemington, I guess we could probably divide it that way. Is that, Eric, what you did? Just the square footage in Flemington? Gave you 6? I wasn't even thinking about that when I wrote this.
It looks like a rare township requirement, if Flemington doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Oh, we do.
Oh,
It's 2630A2 requires 1 loading space 15 by 60 for each 20,000 square feet of floor area.
That's loading for
Any-
multiple uses, right?
Yeah.
That's not just, yeah.
Oh, even if it was a retail
That's
facility, we would require that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so if the requirement's 9 to accommodate the size of the building and you only have 6 and 3 of those are for UPS, whatever, and not actual full trailers, my concern becomes, what do you have? What happens when the trucks get backed up? I know you don't have large volume, but the requirement's there for a reason, I would imagine, so. Last time I asked that question specifically, what does the truck do if it has 3 bays that are already full, and I didn't really get a satisfactory answer.
I think what Eric said was that, based on the conversation we had about reducing parking, he thought, okay, maybe we can take some portion of that rear parking area and have that if trucks were on site, they could stage there until one of the loading areas opened up.
Yeah.
And I think that would be C variance relief at a time of site plan approval.
It would be.
It would be.
Yeah, it would be. And again, I think we do have to split the building, so if we get to that point, I'll be curious, but I mean, you're gonna go to Raritan Township and not have any building in Raritan Township,
Right.
and I'm sure they have a requirement too, so. Kinda gotta think about it, I think.
And it's because of the uniqueness of the site being on two different municipalities.
Oh, I agree. So I think the one thing I wanna point out, I'm sorry.
Just wanna make sure.
Yeah. This site plan, or at least the concept of the site plan that we've seen, is really tailored to this user. So as far as, let's say they go out of business in 10 years and they say, well, we have this building we're gonna sell. It's not gonna be that attractive to a lot of typical distribution uses, because it just doesn't have the number of loading bays. It's gonna work well for them, I think is what we've heard, but it might not be that appealing to a wider audience. Which, in my view, just means, we are really tailoring anything we do here to this user. We don't have to worry about, well, what if somebody comes in and they have 10 times the truck volume that this use has, right? It really, and I think Mr. Hughes actually made that point in his testimony, is that, it's just not gonna be that attractive to different types of warehouse distribution. So we're really tailoring this specific to this user.
And that's the relief that we're seeking at all for this particular use, because it is unique use.
So let me just make sure are there any other questions from board professionals on the city testimony?
I would just say, at site plan, they should include in their loading zone requirements what Mr. Kyle just cited, because right now the plan says loading zone requirements not specified for proposed use. As far as Flemington Borough, they only cite the Raritan Township loading berth requirements, which is 6.
Remote members of the board, does anybody have questions, I guess, on operations of the new testimony that was given? Don, you're muted.
Yeah, a little confusing that I would even consider Raritan, since we have no road in Raritan all the traffic's gonna go through Flemington, so I don't know why we would split. I'm just a little confused. Maybe it's just the uniqueness of the site. But I do appreciate that. Yeah, I just don't understand the reasoning there. I don't know if I can form that in a question now.
So I think I can answer that one, Don. We can only apply standards to improvements that are within our municipal boundary. I think there's a practical side of this in that, a little less than half the building is in another township and there's no driveway, there's no parking. It's definitely a unique situation. But I think what we've heard is that the applicant feels that what they've shown on the plan is going to work more than adequately for them again, there might be some additional issues that we have to work out at site plan, as far as, you know, what happens if a truck shows up and all 3 bays are, you know, full. I think they understand that concern, and Eric said he could probably come up with a solution. You know, particularly since we heard there's only gonna be a maximum of 15 employees at this facility. And there's 60 some odd parking spaces on the site, so. But again, we can't really we could require relief if they don't meet the standard in our town, but and from a practical perspective, I think we have to talk about it, but. I get what you're saying though, as far as it's a little confusing the way this is split and how it's being proposed.
All right, thank you.
All right, Hannah, please.
Just one clarification. So I understand because we keep going over the volume of things and everything. And so to my understanding, it's not necessarily what creates what might increase truck traffic. Sorry if you can hear my children in the back. But what might increase truck traffic is an increase in vendors, not necessarily an increase in product being made. So is there any intention with this expansion, having more vendors, having more than just Walmart or whoever?
The bad news for us is there's not too many, you know, companies left. We just have big lots are gone, that is gone. So those big retailers are going away. So actually, those number of retailers are decreasing. So that's, you know, you will not see many more stores being added on.
Yeah, they're all kind of consolidating. Okay, so that would just be kind of my understanding, and oh gosh, sorry. But yeah, I'm so happy you do not hear them then. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Okay, so that was just my question and clarification. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else online with any other questions? What else here?
Just a quick question, because I don't have the drawing in front of me. So the unloading bays in the back, truck backs in and the back of the truck is flush with the warehouse, or is it just an overhead door and a forklift drives up and then pulls the stuff out?
You can add it to the better. Yeah, I think.
It's flush, they're actual loading docks.
Up there.
Yeah. Each of you heard about it.
They're going to be actual loading docks that are flush with the
That's flush with the back of the
Yes.
truck. Okay. Or they will.
Yeah, I was just curious with the flood plain if it's dumped down in there for just water stuff, so just curious.
Good. Anything else? No. Okay, I think that any members of the public with questions on the updated testimony. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Okay, seeing none. Do you have any other witnesses?
I do not have any other witnesses. You want to open it to the public?
We are going to open it up to the public if there are any public comments. We ask folks to limit to 3 minutes if there are any members of the public who'd like to speak about the application. Seeing none.
My turn to give a stellar summation, or do you take a break?
Well, no, I mean, we usually break it around 9, but we can plow through. We can plow through, I think. So,
Chairman, second, 1 second. You're formally moving exhibits A1 through 7, the record.
Yes,
Thank
please.
you.
okay, thank you. So can I get a motion to close the, we'll actually closing statement and then we'll close the public.
Thank you. You've heard our fact witnesses, which is our architect, our engineer, our traffic engineer, and our professional planner. And this is a very unique site. It's a very unique use, and that's why it's appropriate for a use variance. It's not trying to do something that's such a departure from what has historically happened on this site for many, many years. And this site is particularly suited for this type of use. It's also, quite honestly, as you drive by, going to be a vast improvement to this site from an architectural standpoint. The silos are going to be removed. It's going to be clean and architecturally superior. One of the big things here is it's an adaptive reuse and improvement of an existing site. And that's what these unique type of projects are trying to facilitate. And what the purposes of the municipal land use law are being advanced. I'm not gonna go over all the positive and the negative criteria again, because your eyes will roll back into your head. But the main thing on a warehouse use that is always a concern to the public is traffic. And what's the traffic impact gonna be of the warehouse use? And we gave you a detailed traffic study. It was reviewed by your board's traffic expert, found to be done appropriately, factored in all of the potential factors appropriately, and came to the appropriate conclusion. It's the main thing on the warehouse use. And the thing that Mr. Kyle pointed out is that we have to come back before this board on site plan approval and prove the negative criteria with this eventual development plan. What we're really asking this board to do is to grant a use variance for something that has happened on the site since at least 2012 or 14, has been going on, and allow us to expand it in a way that will be appropriate pending site plan approval. This is a use variance application, and it requires 5 affirmative votes out of the seven board members who can vote. And if you have any concerns or you want any additional information from us that would require you, that you would need in order to come to a yes, we would ask that you ask for that now before closing the public hearing. We would engage in you in that process and like to talk to you about it if you have concerns before you vote, because it's really important on a use variance application when an applicant has to hire a lawyer, another lawyer, an engineer, an architect, traffic expert, a planner. It's an extensive process. And because we need 5 of you to say yes out of 7, and it's a heightened standard, we'd like to engage in that process with you if you are inclined not to support this application, to get you to a yes. But I think we've done a good job. I think we've given you the proofs under the municipal land use law, why the special reasons are have been proven for granting this particular use. We would ask that you grant our use variance application subject to the conditions of coming back before this board on for site plan approval under the bifurcated application, and securing any and all other governmental agency approvals, including Raritan Township municipal land use approval.
I get a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Okay.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Mr. Schlanger,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Winkel,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Mr. Kane,
Yes.
Mr. Eckel,
Yes.
Mr. Papers.
Yes.
So board discussion, comments, let's start with comments from our professionals. Maybe Jim, you want to start, so this is a lot of planning stuff.
Yeah, so I always say, it's not my job to tell you how to vote, it's my job to tell you the things that you need to think about. So let's just look, and I'll go quickly because, you've heard a lot of this before. So this is a D1 variance. They're required to demonstrate the positive and negative criteria. Positive, they can show either because the site's particularly suited, or there are special reasons, which are purposes of the MLUL that are promoted. Negative, and probably the more important part of this is there any substantial impact as a result of relief to any adjacent properties? One disadvantage that, disconnecting the site plan is we don't get to see things like detailed buffering or, what might be removed, things like that. And probably the most important part of the negative criteria is the Medici enhanced proof. So in the case Medici v. BPR, the court said you can't just go as far as saying there's no substantial impairment to the intent purpose of the master plan. You actually have to say why it's not inconsistent, and you have to reconcile the fact that it's not a permitted use. I think what you heard tonight, I think it is somewhat important, is that some aspect of what they are doing here or proposing to do here is permitted as a conditional use. We didn't go through the conditional use standards, but based on hours of operation and everything being inside, they would probably meet that. Those are really the only two conditions, hours and everything in the building. I think you have to consider that as part of this, because some aspect of what they're doing would be allowed under our zoning ordinance. And that's important. As far as anything else, negative, we've heard testimony of the hours of operation. We've heard testimony about the number of employees, traffic. Obviously, I agree with Mr. Grunberg, is always a big consideration in a warehouse type application. We've heard that this use is somewhat unique. I think Mr. Hughes gave us kind of the worst case scenario, but what they presented, the actual use will be better than the worst case scenario. So the traffic is obviously important. We don't expect a lot of traffic from employees. It's 10 to 15 employees. I think, as the applicant said, they're not really increasing staff because they're going to increase efficiency and automation, keep the employees they have. Visual impacts, I think what we heard from the applicant was that they're open to a more neutral color on the architectural facade. That might weigh in. It sounds like they're completely flexible. So if we had a feeling that that's obviously a site plan issue, but I think they've conceded that they'll do that. And then the visual impacts, as far as you pointed out, Mr. Chairman, we have residential uses going across the street at Liberty Village. We have the residential uses in Clark Circle right next door. I think what we heard from the applicant was on the Clark Circle side, it sounds like a lot of what's there now can be taken out. The tanks, the railroad siding, and that the utility that's there is likely for things that serve this building. So that's probably something they're going to be able to extinguish, and we'll be able to get some buffering on that side of the building. The Route 12 side is something different. I mean, the Liberty Village side, but I think there's probably opportunity there in the future. But again, that's fruit flies everywhere. That's an issue that we can tackle at site plan if need be. So there is a purpose statement for the transition commercial. And I'll read it real quick. Is to provide areas for more intensive commercial uses which are not appropriate for or which require larger lots than is typical for the borough's downtown commercial and mixed-use district. The borough encourages lot consolidation in order to better host the more intense uses permitted in the district. Retail sales and service uses are desirable on larger tracts of land that offer different opportunities and character than that of the downtown, as well as to further incentivize lot consolidation. When you look at the TC discussion in the master plan, 2022 master plan, it acknowledges that there's kind of a mishmash of uses here. It talks about the fact that there are light industrial uses, and I think the intent of the conditionally permitted light industrial was really to acknowledge, some part of these existing uses that are out there. We know that this district is differentiated from the downtown, and that, we really want to focus getting people there instead of here necessarily. To kind of help prop up the downtown and make it more active. And I think that's about it.
Anything else from our other board professionals that you think the board should be thinking through?
No, I prepared my report in the context that it is a bifurcated application with the use issues, obviously, deferring to, Jim, the comments he provided to the board. My initial concern with the original application was the fact that they were also requesting the bulk variances, which I felt were really tied ultimately to the site plan. There wasn't enough information here for the board to consider those either positively in the positive light or negative light. The applicant withdrawing that aspect of it. And the whole second part of my report was sort of, I don't call it a blueprint or a layout of what some of the questions and issues are going to be when they come back in with the site plan. And it is going to be a challenging site, not only from the environmental elements associated with the floodplain, but just the uniqueness that as it's currently laid out and it's going to become problematic. Half the sites in the borough and half the sites in the township, and as currently proposed, all the stormwaters in the township. And I'm not sure how we would administer that, how we would approve a site plan for facilities that are, stormwater facilities in another municipality outside our jurisdiction. So there's got to be a balancing act here in the review of this. But again, I put that as a second component in this, because I didn't want that to shade or to cloud the current application where which is the use issue. They're significant issues, but they're not necessarily associated with how the building is being used. It's more associated with how the site will ultimately get developed.
Is there anything you take out?
I mean, I would just add that, from a traffic standpoint, at the use variance phase, I think they demonstrated, adequate roadway capacity, even for, a higher generator than the actual. And, some of the basics on traffic access, such as sight distance, geometry, and capacity are satisfied, again, even at a higher level of traffic. It is a fairly small warehouse in the warehouse world. And small warehouses mean small traffic.
Yeah, just reminding the board that there were a lot of good questions that were brought up related to C variances and site plan, but this is simply a D1, and so don't let those things that are very concerning and are very good questions cloud your judgment, because focus on the D1. And I think his point about having to prove the negative criteria again is an important one. So that's next.
So board members, I want to kind of go around because this is a use variance. I want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak whatever they want to contribute to the conversation, so it's all on the record. So I'm going to start the folks who are remote, if we could. Dennis, I'm starting with you because you're the first box on my Brady Bunch.
Yeah, I think what they've been doing and expanding it, it's a very unique site. I don't have any concerns.
Don.
Yeah, I mean, this is very unique. Butting up against Raritan as well. I mean, I'm assuming that if we to go to the next phase, there'd be a full engineering site plan. Is that the board's understanding as well?
Let's go back.
Yep.
Right. Other than that, I don't have any concerns.
Hannah.
I'm in agreement so far with what everyone else is saying, and that, I am unconcerned necessarily with, what is the use. It's just moving forward. That's really the concern to be had, I think. But how far ahead can we think? But yeah, sorry. I'm super distracted back here, but I agree with what everyone else is saying so far.
Mike, do you have anything?
Ready to vote.
Thanks, Mike. Okay. Melissa.
No, I think to not be a broken record, I mean, I think we've covered it, it's a unique application for sure this is probably the most unique that I've had since I've been on the board. So at the moment, I think I'm okay with everything.
I agree kind of what everyone else is saying. They're cleaning up the site, taking the storage tanks, everything. So it's going to be more eye appealing. I guess once the plan comes back to us, we can address the stormwater concerns and stuff at that point. But all the questions I had.
Yeah, I'm also in agreement. I understand the need to separate this from the actual variances that are to come should we approve this. And just preemptively, should we approve this, I'm hoping that the site plan will be aesthetically pleasing. And there will be full landscape plans along with that. Because a lot of applications we get are not very well thought out. And what we've seen so far, just on the basic ones, are not going to satisfy a lot of us on the board. But as for the use variance, I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, much same sentiments as everybody else. Most of my concerns are still just centered around what would be site plan approval. I do have a concern over actually I think about it the other way around. So if we are it's a site that's being very tailored to a specific use. I actually have concerns about that, but I think that's more of a site plan conversation. So I would hold that until that time. There's one clarification that I want to make, with you.
Sure.
So we heard the testimony that it's about 30% light industrial, so 70% warehousing. At what point, so you had mentioned that you really have to make sure that we're considering that there's a conditional use in here around light warehousing. So, and it's just trying to understand, like, how much does that weigh in? Thinking there's 70% warehouse versus 30%.
I'd say it weighs in about 30%.
Good answer.
But I think in the context of the overall use, and again, I said that doesn't carry the day necessarily, but I think it's relevant.
Yeah.
So you assign whatever weight, you feel is appropriate.
Okay, yeah,
So I'll just say, I do have concerns, and I think, I asked some questions. I do have concerns about long-term, the granting the use variance, long-term, it's kind of reinforcing the industrial use along 12 here in this kind of one spot where I think in our last revision to the master plan, we definitely were aspirational, looking for other creative solutions along within the TC zone here. And those concerns, I don't think have been entirely satisfied to my liking, but I do have a lot of concerns about the environmental factors. I do have a lot of concerns given the flood hazard here, but as Mr. Kyle just reminded all of us, if approvals were granted here and in Raritan Township, and they come back for site plan, all of these negative criteria questions are gonna have to come back again. And I think that the applicant, if approval is granted here, I think, and they come back with that level, I think the applicant has to be really ready to talk in great detail about all of those things. Because if it was this alone, I couldn't ignore the flooding we've had in that part of town. But it is I am recognizing the uniqueness of the historical use here and the what's been going on here. So I have concerns, but I don't know if they rise to the level of saying no. So let's just put it that way. So is there anybody else on the board who wanted to say anything else?
Mr. Chairman, if
Yeah.
I may inquire, Mr. Bloomberg said previously that he needed 5 out of 7 votes. It's a 9-member board, correct, am I?
Well, it is a 9-member board. We have 8 people here this evening.
Right.
But
And only
you
7.
get only 7 votes. We have alternates.
2 that can't vote on this, so.
Right, so my question, Mr. Bloomberg, is do you believe you should be proceeding with 7 or alternates filling in for this?
Well, it should be 7 and using alternates to get to 7, but not any more than 7. So whoever the first alternate is, if there's a board member missing, should fill in for that board member. And then if need be, but we can't have a vote of 8 because that would potentially throw everything off. I don't think it's gonna be an issue from what I heard, but whoever the lowest number, the highest number of alternates shouldn't participate.
Yeah, okay, so you're seeking a vote from 7 members.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Thanks for clarifying. Okay, so as it stands, the first so the alternates in order are Mark
Hain, both
and the next
papers.
one in papers.
Mhm.
Right.
It
So
would just be Hain voting.
right, because the only other class 4 member who's not present is Ms. Gibbon. Right, so there's one full member who's not present, so you only need alternate 1 as well.
Okay,
Right?
but you have,
Correct.
you need 2 alternates, right? Because
No,
you have 7 board members voting.
1, 2.
Karen's the only class 4 member that's not here. Susan's not here, but she's a governing body member.
She's a governing body member, and the Campion is the municipal employee class
Still in
2.
one spot.
So you can,
He can participate.
okay.
I'm just gonna
Well, I was just gonna say, one person here can't vote today. I don't know who that person is.
Just make it easier for that.
All right, so is there, so I'm looking now for a motion to grant D1.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I have that the only alternate voting is Mr. Hain.
So count people who are here.
So Mr. Campion can vote, you can vote, Mr. Schleicher can vote, Mr. Schob can vote, Ms. Wingo can vote, Ms. Weissman can vote, and Mr. Hain can vote.
That gives us 7, yeah, okay. Sorry, Don. All right. So of those 7, I need someone to make a motion, on the application.
So moved.
To grant with the.
D1 use.
Are you moving to grant the D1 use variance?
So moving to grant the D1 use variance.
Second. Okay, are there any conditions on this that we need to?
Well, obviously, the big one is they come back for site plan approval.
Right.
But other than that, I don't really know that we talked about anything specific, because we're not really talking about a site plan.
Right.
I can't recall anything specific that.
Do we need to mention, I know normal resolution compliance is any and all outside agencies, yada, 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 but I think we would need to know Raritan's. And no, I'm not asking a question on the record, but is the intention to bifurcate it out, Raritan as well?
They don't
We
need
wouldn't
use
have
variance.
to because we don't.
You don't need to use variance.
So might I suggest that it be a condition of either a letter of no interest or approval from the appropriate Raritan Township, because sometimes you guys just do like a courtesy amongst each other, but we're probably gonna ask.
I would love for them to do a letter of no interest. They do not do that.
He used to do that.
They know, not us, Raritan is.
Not that I would take it all inclusive, but I made an attempt on page 7 of my report to outline what I thought might be some, when they come in for site plan, what some of the outside agencies.
Right, well, I'm talking about conditions for this approval, right, not for the site plan approval, right?
Basically, this approval, they need to come back for site plan approval.
Right.
And I outlined here, when they come back for site plan approval, these are outside agencies that we either should have some input on prior to the board's vote, again, depending on the board's evaluation of the site plan, or at the very least, as conditions of any approval on the site. Again, it was my attempt to try to think forward to what they might be. I might have missed some, we might have something here not required, but
I'd actually prefer not to do that, because I'm not sure whether the site plan is going to incorporate all of those required governmental approvals. It probably will, but
they're
it's
all
not.
they're all site plan.
It's all site
Yeah,
plan.
there's nothing in the outside agency approvals except for one thing. Jay, do they need the letter of no interest from DOT as a condition of this approval, or we do that for site plan?
Site plan.
Okay, so there's no outside
There's no outside
agencies
agencies,
that we really need at this point.
Yeah, just compliance with your ministerial things, the escrow and things like that.
Normal
That's it.
things,
Yeah,
okay.
that's it.
And I just wanted to make sure.
Site plan.
And returning for site plan, and I mean, honestly, it really is up to the applicant, since it's a permitted use of the township, if they just come to us for site plan first, or to the township for site plan, either they're gonna come with a first site plan to us, or we're gonna make it a condition of a site plan approval that they get for the township.
We honestly have to figure out which one to
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
first, quite honestly.
But I'm just hearing from our professionals that we can be agnostic to that at this moment.
Yes.
Okay. So really, there aren't, other than the coming back for site plan, there's no other conditions that we.
Other than the usual.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion, we have a second, is there any further discussion? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Campion,
No.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Mr. Schleicher,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hain.
Yes. Thank you all very much. Appreciate your time and effort. I appreciate the board's professionals' review of the application and their good input on the application.
Thank you all, and we'll see you when we see you.
No
I'm guessing it's gonna be a while.
It's good. All right, just to move things forward here, because we're coming up on 9, but I think we can avoid the break. There is the only other thing under chair items we have our next scheduled meeting on August 25th. Is there any, what do we have on that? We have nothing scheduled, right? I don't wanna have the Y hanging out, so we should plan on a meeting, if nothing else, to make sure that that resolution gets done. But if there's not, and we are planning, so we're gonna have that on the agenda. We're gonna have the discussion of the escrow requirements on the agenda for the next meeting. By that point, hopefully the master plan committee will have met, we are meeting, and then hopefully we'll be able to have that to bring something to the board for that as well. Jim might have some update on Turnbull Junction based on how, we're not gonna be ready for anything, but you might just be able to give us that, hey, I was on the site kind of update.
Yeah, but I'm gonna target the second meeting in September for the public hearing.
Just to clarify something, I was told that the rescue squad, they wanted the public hearing at the second, if, because of conflict with on their end, the public hearing on the second meeting in September.
I thought we were on the game.
We are.
They're on the eighth.
Wait,
Yeah.
isn't Steve the attorney?
Mr. Grunberg,
Steve,
is your firm counsel for the rescue squad?
Yes.
So do you know if it's, we have it penciled in for the 8th, not the 25th of September, is that?
Yeah.
Bob suggesting that there's some sort of conflict or something, you don't know?
The conflict.
I think, I thought I read somewhere that you couldn't make the first meeting, you wanted the second meeting.
He didn't want August 25th, because I think he's away.
Yeah, I didn't want that
That's-
meeting in August, because
And that's what
I'm going on vacation last week of August, this will get that way from.
Thank you. All right, so
Yeah,
the
September eighth, we're noticing for September eighth.
that's all we need to know, so. August 25th, it'll likely be, I'm just gonna preemptively say, we'll need Mr. Kyle, and we'll need Ms. Kaczynski, but we probably don't need Jay, and we probably don't need Bob, just to let you know. So it'll be relatively straightforward meeting. The 8th is the rescue squad. The September 22nd, we're aiming for the turntable for that. There's no other applications, so just everyone who knows. Anybody else have any other share items?
The shade tree thing could be on the.
Shade Tree is gonna go to council. We're gonna just have the council start. Whenever they, hopefully they're doing sooner than later, and then when it comes to us, we will just fit it in for our required discussion, because it deals with our sections dealing with this.
gotcha.
But everyone should have it, everyone should take a look at it, and like, if there's a problem, let council know now, just to make sure we can preempt it.
Hey, Jeff. Oh, so
Yeah.
sorry. Did you notice that there was one comment on the web online? I think it was made earlier in the meeting, but I don't know if we saw it or not.
I think that's count for anything. There's a Q&A.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was meant to be a public comment or I'm not sure, but just as.
That's unrelated.
That is unrelated, and I know what this has to do with, and I will leave that for later. Okay. Thank you. And I think that's it. We had bills that were circulated. Can I get a motion on the bills? So moved. Thank you. Second?
Second,
Thank you, Melissa. All in favor of auditing the bills?
I,
We need a roll call, sorry, it's money.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Mr. Schlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hain,
Yes.
Mr. Eckel.
Yes.
Yeah. Kara said we didn't go to executive session.
Wait, I'm sorry, we need Mr. Favors as well.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I want to thank Mr. Wilhelm for being our conflict counsel for this application. We will hopefully see you at some point in the future for this or some other applications.
This should be ready for you to vote on the memorialized resolution on September 8th. It's having pretty good shape, just gotta get today's stuff.
Great. Just for the sake of making it, for closing it all up, you could appear on Zoom and be fine. I don't think you need to like.
Yeah. My practice is to circulate it, obviously, to the applicant's attorney and to the board professional.
Yep, great. All right, but thank you. All right. Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Thank you.
Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Aye.
I need a lawyer.
Don't
we all? Hold on.
Hey, the property taxes
Stop.
are in this.